Good day, good day, good day, and welcome again to All for Success X. That means that we're going to be primarily talking about things that are in support of Harry and Meghan, Duke and Duchess of Success, Sussex, in my opinion, Duke and Duchess of Success. And we might sprinkle in other topics as we go along, sometimes things that catch my eye or catch my thoughts sometimes during the week. So, we're going to have a moment where we do get to talk about the Duke and Duchess. So, in the meantime, um, let's see, hold on. I think we're having a little bit of network or bandwidth drama, but what we're not going to do is let that cause us too much of a struggle. So just stand by for about 10 seconds or so, and let's make sure we've got the broadcast going. And we need to make sure that our network is in check. Um, as with all things here in the technical world, one day it's working and one day it isn't. So we just have to fight through that layer of operation. And remember, we're always at the behest. We are always at the behest of the creators of these forums and these platforms. Okay. So, with that being said, I want everyone to follow suit in the picture that you see there or the diagram. Get yourself a cup of coffee if you were working out this morning or if you were out running errands already. Now it's time to sit down and have a cup of coffee and relax. We're going to chat just a little while. I promise I won't keep you too long because, as you all have come to understand, I am new to what I'm doing and I'm still fumbling through trying to get organized. But that being said, we're going to keep working on it and feel free, please, to drop me some comments or suggestions in the commentary. I would love to read through them and apply what I can, and of course, disregard things I don't like. But hey, that's what we do, right? Okay, so make your coffee, get yourself settled in, and let's get a chance to chit chat about all the things we want to chit chat about. So, first of all, what they say housekeeping ish. First of all, remember when we always come on this little wonderful chit chat here, I always ask folks to talk about their workout or exercise and or fitness journey. So if you are doing things during the week that are to improve your health, for me, it's going to the gym a couple of days a week, and then I try to take walks when I can. And lately, I have been battling trying to reduce a few pounds here and there. Now, as those of you who have been with me from the beginning, I will repeat that I am also a mother of adult children. So that's why I talk about Harry and Meghan from that perspective. And being such, that means I am not in my 20s. So that means I need to do a little bit more, um, perhaps physical movement to help the aching joints and bones. And I also need to pay a little bit more attention to what I eat or how much I eat and how often, because it would appear that those are things that contribute to sometimes the negative effects that I might feel throughout the week. And I am still working so that it takes a little bit of energy to keep those things at bay. So I like to always report to you guys that I did complete walking every day. I've hit the mile mark every day that I walked. The only day that I did take off because I felt really, really sore was Friday. And on Friday, I don't know if I did too much Thursday evening or if I was just more sore and and unmedicated. So I felt a little sore on Friday and I took it easy. Now today I did get back on the bike and I felt really good. So I like to put that out there and I hope that each of you can put also in the comments how you're doing and maybe some of the workouts that you have been accomplishing and keep us posted on how you're doing, because that motivates the rest of us. It keeps us motivated, right? To talk about what we're doing and to know that other people are motivating us as well. Okay. So let me just make a note of that here real quick. And I would like to say, we want to keep each other going because that's important, right? Very important to do. Okay, so let me go on now and let's see if we have some slides that we're going to talk about. All right, all right, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you know, I kind of put the title in this one. I titled up myself as I was thinking about what to talk about today. I want you all to understand that, yes, there was victory of Invictus. Okay. That whole concept, its execution, and of course, Germany operates the way Germany operates, which means they did a beautiful job of the presentation. And I'll bet that people who actually attended felt a very warm, welcoming environment and a very warm, welcoming city to the perspective of Invictus. Because I lived in Germany for more than 10 years. As I've mentioned in the past, I am a previous service member, but I actually work for the military. And Germany, they definitely have organization and control as a part of their national heartbeat. If there if there are any group of people that can put on a production and have it organized, and it's as if they think of everything, then I will tell you Germany is a nation that seems to be able to do that. They don't seem to have a lot of what do you call it? They don't seem to have a lot of patience for those who don't think of contingency plans and don't have backup plans and don't have people in charge of specific things. And so, with that being said, all of us that enjoyed watching it, some of the Invictus events, all of those who participated in it, probably experienced that high level of organization. So, I just want to say that as a previous service member, watching the military service members who have had different traumatic experiences go through that process of putting their talents on display, I have to say they definitely deserved an absolute cheer. Okay. So, Harry highlighted that, and it was fantastic. So I just want everyone to know that's how I feel about that entire process. So that being said, there was victory with Invictus. So, oh, let me see. I think I'm switching up my slides. So let me get back to that. Okay. So, okay. So let's ask this question. What does that mean for the rest of the UK? Okay. And when I say rest of the UK, I'm talking about that element of the UK that is truly anti Harry and Meghan. That portion of the UK that, of course, wants to take Harry and Meghan and their life and they want to ball it up, tightly wad it up, and throw it in the trash. So let's not focus on that, but let's take a look at that. And I want to preface this particular chat with I am not going to try to sadden everybody and bring everybody down. Remember, one of the key features of those who support Harry and Meghan, one of the key features that we have is that we try to uplift, we try to bring positive aspects not just to our to Harry and Meghan, but to the world. And we try to uplift each other because that is extremely important today. We need to make sure that we are on the path to keeping the light in our eyes and keeping an understanding that the world we're in will move forward and that we have the opportunity to move forward as well. And what we don't want to do is get bogged down. Um, what we don't want to do is get bogged down in thinking or believing that we cannot prosper because we can. Uh-oh, I have to do an audio check. Okay, I'm getting some feedback, but that's okay. That means you guys will hear it twice. Okay, so that's okay. But I hope I didn't miss anything, and I hope you can hear me when I'm speaking. Every now and then, side note, every now and then, you'll start one of these processes off and things will be working pretty well. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, things will just kind of go haywire on you. It's really bizarre. I'm not quite sure why that is. But anyway, um, we do want to know, and I'm sorry, as we know, we do want to support each other and we want to make sure that we present ourselves and the things that we support in a positive light. I just want to ask all of you out there, if you're listening, put a thumbs up in the chat if you have time. Drop a thumbs up to let me know if you feel that your day might be filled with information that is primarily sad and negative. Put a thumbs up in the chat there. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you have seen or if you have ever felt that the majority of information or things that were passed on in the media, that they are primarily negative. Give me a thumbs up if that's how if you've noticed this. I would love to get an idea of how many people out there may sense this, because this is something that I have been sensing for a while. This feeling that a lot of what we are presented with is often extremely negative. So I would love to see a thumbs up from you if you too have experienced this. And you'll see why I ask that question as I go on. All right, so I noted that we're supposed to keep in our mindset um, everything that is happening with in the UK and within the royal family. But the interesting thing about that empire, right, is that for most of us all around the world looking at that British Empire, there are very few elements in the world that really sense and feel that the empire is still a very, what do you call it, influential force, right? I mean, of course, it doesn't help that Queen Elizabeth reigned for 70 plus years, because we began in the entire world began to see Queen Elizabeth throughout her entire reign. So it's very difficult as they try to pass the reins and as they try to continue the the mentality of that reign. It's going to be very difficult, right? So what I'm getting at is these things, this confluence of events is creating what many of us are seeing, or we feel it. I'm not sure if we actually see it. This feeling of things being extremely unsettled. We feel almost like, well, there are no real rules right now. And we have watched in this event between Harry and Meghan and the royal family, they have become an expression. In other words, this conflict between the household has become an expression, in my opinion, okay? I have to throw that out there, in my opinion, an expression of how we are beginning to feel in the world. We're beginning to feel that we're always fighting something. We're beginning to feel that we're always either on one side of an issue or on the other side of an issue. People are beginning to feel like there's nothing but a left side and a right side, upside or a downside. There is no discussion now that is in the middle, let's say. And of course, if you are seen as being in the middle now, that is a negative problem. But with that at the backdrop, this is where my this is where we want to move through our way of understanding what we're seeing. Okay, so let's say you feel and you see all this negative stuff. Well, you have to ask yourself a question. Now, all of those who are generally pro Harry and Meghan have already asked this question. Most of the people who are in that realm already see these things. At least we feel that we see it from the same perspective. You can see that for whatever reason, those that control the media process, the greater media structure, we seem to see that it is pumping out negativity most of the time. For example, it pumps out the disasters, it pumps out the negative weather effects, it's going to pump out crime, it's going to pump out attacks. You, in a general day-to-day, your movement from day to day, you are generally going to think you need to be armed and ready at all times, on the run, ducking and dodging, because everyone is out there to attack you. Now, here's the interesting thing about that thought. Of course, that's possible, right? Of course, you could, quickly say or assess, yeah, people are terrible, right? And terrible people do terrible things. That's something that you could very easily um, grasp and understand, right? You could very easily say, well, that's just how the world is. But on the surface, or let's say from you as an individual to your door, let's look at where you are. Right now, you're probably listening to my podcast. You might be sitting at your table having breakfast. In general, most people who are maybe participating right now, you're not really in a war-torn situation. You're not really running for your life right now, more than likely. And that's probably the majority of people. Not that doesn't mean that something cannot happen negatively. It just means that at this moment, you are probably fairly comfortable. That doesn't mean you may not have things that you want to improve in your life, right? So then ask yourself, once again, we have to ask ourselves, of course, knowing many people will never ask this question of themselves because they're not thinkers. You have to ask yourself, why is it a multi-billion-dollar business? Why is it a multi-billion-dollar business to keep you on edge, scared to death, thinking about crime, thinking about people coming to take something from you, and thinking about horrible, horrible governments all over the world? Why is that a multi-billion-dollar business? Good question, right? Okay, so enter on our screen Rupert Murdoch. And I know you ladies are, if you're ladies out there, okay, well, here's the heartthrob. Why is he a heartthrob? Because he's a super, super billionaire, okay? But he is one of the visible figures. He is a visible figure in this scenario. Now, how did he get here? Well, he was politely escorted into the news and media business way back in a time that most people probably won't remember. But at the time, the president in the United States was Ronald Reagan. So I want you all to have fun reading about that time period if you're too young to remember it, and what a character like this showing up, the effect that this type of a character in the business of media, how he affected many things that operated the machines and the levers of our world. So he had his tentacles for all of this time period in United States, the UK, and Australia. And in the three biggest features on the planet, the biggest players, right? That is where he had his tentacles. And this man was brilliant. And so he is the keeper of the tabloid media in the UK. He is the proponent of our wonderful growth of Fox News, alternative reality, and facts TV, right? So the sky is blue. Well, on Fox News, that's an alternative fact. Maybe it's blue, but let's discuss the fact that maybe it isn't. Right? We have all, as a community, decided the grass is green, but on Fox News, green might be a construct of the left wing liberals. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. But he is the author of that personality. And again, drifting forward into 2023, he is the arbiter, and his machine, his multi-billion-dollar machine, is the author of Megan is a Monster. Even though we just met her 5 years ago, we know nothing about this woman except that she was an actress. But she is a monster, and she has single-handedly eaten the sun and going to kill us all. But that is his machine. Oh, by the way, allegedly, right? So that is what the arbiter of this environment has been. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but however, this week, this wonderful gentleman, he stepped down from all of those companies and being the head of it. Now, don't breathe a sigh of relief. Don't think for a moment, oh, well, that means it's over. Nope. Enter, people who have had children, including myself. Again, adult children. Enter his son, because his son will now be taking over at the helm. So it's possible that either he'll have a different approach. Now, he is not at all less of a super, I'm going to say, right ideological individual, which wouldn't be a concern if your concern was simply, I just want to make money and make as much as I can. That wouldn't be such an interest. But when you add to that, I will do anything and everything, and that I have no lower limit, that's the problem. Correct? Like, we're not mad that you want to be rich. That's fine. But when you say, I don't care who I hurt to be rich, that is the problem, right? Because that's a different ideology. Getting rich is great, but this is his son, and his name, I believe, is Lachlan Murdoch. So keep in mind that the new helm is beginning to start, but that shift may have already started to turn. And the reason that I say that is those of you who are paying attention to UK tabloid media, we are noticing in a very high level, but we are noticing that every now and then during the scathing, crawling, grabbing, snatching hatred of Harry and Meghan, we are also beginning to notice that there is a one-liner here or there thrown in, trying to test if they should offer a concession. Okay, so, and here's what I mean. There's a one-liner about, well, you have to admit, and I'm going to reference the Invictus situation. The one-liner is, well, you have to admit, Invictus is fabulous. It really is great. It's a wonderful thing that Harry has been working on Invictus. Okay, and this is their tone. And then right after that, why is Megan dressed the way she is? Correct? Okay, so they throw out they throw out a little bit of a drip just to test. Should they also say something a little bit positive? Because why? Well, because the UK populace. What is being noticed? What's being noticed is that the UK populace, which means the common people, the common people are slowly beginning to turn around and pay attention. And the handwriting, as they used to say in the old days, is on the wall. Because in the old days, what would happen is the feudal lords who had starved out all their farmers would suddenly find themselves on the run from pitchforks and torches. And in our world, the pitchforks and torches are coming in the flavor of you're being exposed, you're being outed on television, and people are running you out of business. Okay. And I believe that that is what they are feeling. Okay. So that's what I am seeing happening in the UK populace. Now, the other part of that too is in the UK, you can get on TV and say all this crazy foolishness. Here, you have to do it on Fox News. And for whatever reason, I don't know if Fox News if they have not been paid enough, or if I'm not sure what has happened. They got in their pocket right now the anti-Harry and Meghan campaign. They have a couple of people in their pocket. Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, right? They have a couple of heads in their pocket. But overall, the people who have opened their mouths and said something, what I would call scathing about Harry and Meghan, or made a comment about Harry and Meghan in the undertone, in general here in America, and it's not that anyone started a campaign to do this. They were immediately excoriated. Now, I don't know what caused that or what prompted it, but the thing to be aware of is whatever that have come up with, a lot like the gentleman from Spotify and your Mayor Adams, as you all noted, what it caused, Whoopi Goldberg, what it caused is for them to kind of get a little bit quiet. They said whatever nonsense they said, but the flavor and the tone to continuously repeat it has kind of quieted down. So what that has done, it's left the UK media and the UK tabloids on their own in drilling Harry and Meghan to the ground. And it's becoming a problem. Okay, so as we noted over the week during what Prince William's visit during the Earth shot and his speech at the UN, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard much fanfare about it, right? It came and went, and that's exactly how it probably should operate. It just came and went. But you know, when things have, when events have no particular, what do you call it? They have no particular um, soul. They don't carry a soul. Then the product of it is going to be soulless, right? The interaction of it is going to be soulless. So that is what a lot of the UK is going to get in return. Their activities and their products are soulless. Okay, so you know that is why they can't have a conversation about what the UK royals are doing. They can't talk about what the UK royals are involved in. They can't even go out and report on what the king and queen are doing, like they spent time in France with the president Macron. But they can't even do that report without mentioning Harry and Meghan, right? Now just think about this. Like I wouldn't be able to talk about how wonderful I am. I can't have a conversation about the wonderful things that I am doing, but somehow they have to work into that conversation Harry and Meghan. So what does this mean? What does it mean? It's really interesting. Oh, by the way, in this picture, there is Prince William with Bloomberg. Okay, again, another media giant. You know, these folks, they're trying to always court the media, and they keep hoping that the media will give them favorable play. So that's why he's probably here in America trying to court another media giant. Why? Because the other media giant is stepping down. And for all we know, his son may not be as interested. But hey, that's something to watch for in the future, allegedly. Okay. But just keep that in mind. I want you to write, when I say these things, folks, I want you to write these notes down because we're going to come back to it. Now, and I did promise that I wasn't going to keep you all too long, didn't I? I did. And so, once again, folks, as in the crawl, please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe and share. Bring a couple of your friends on board who have nothing else to do Saturday morning but drink coffee and listen to me and be encouraged to go out and walk and jog and other things. Okay. So bring your friends in because what I want to do is build. I am not as adept at gathering these large groups, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to work harder, I promise. And I'm going to try to get better at this production. So remember to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, keep up your fitness journey. All right. So back at it. Next up, we're going to quickly chat about the Osborne family. This entire family has been dedicated to drilling down on Harry and Meghan. I have no idea why. We do not know why. We do know that Sharon Osbourne has been connected to Piers Morgan as, I guess, some type of friendship they've had for years, which is wonderful. I do not know what happened to Sharon Osbourne except that she got caught off guard when she was asked about Piers Morgan, and so on on the show, the talk when she was on there, she quickly ended up looking really negative because she got caught off guard, I think. Now, was that a fair thing for them to let her go or not fair? I don't know. Um, I have a feeling that something might have been happening in the background. But I have to say, in support of her, which is, I know you all are probably going to be a little upset at this. When I watched that ordeal play out, I just felt that she had been kind of taken off guard. Like she wasn't really ready to think through her commentary. And that kind of got her in trouble. But that's what talk will do. Even in this podcast, you have, as you say things, as I put out different ideas, if I don't think that through, people can take that idea and do what they want with it. But anyway, the family showed up on Piers Morgan because they have now returned to the UK. And of course, we all need media spread or whatever they're going to do next, because I'm sure they're going to have to come up with something. And so, of course, they had their typical laugh fest, which is another thing I want you all to notice, that whenever there's a Harry and Meghan put down by a UK presence or a UK media personality, it always involves a high volume level of screeching and laughing. Okay. So Piers Morgan and the Osbournes also had to have their quick clown moment of asking a question about Harry and Meghan, making a negative comment, and then high-pitched, screeching laughter for about 5-10 seconds. All right, that's their motto. You know, something negative, and then everybody sits there and and they don't understand that they look like buffoons. But hey, I'm not going to tell them because I want them to continue to do that until they are run off of television. But hey, that is what they think they should do. Of course, the secondary personality, and I want you all to remember, we have not forgotten him. Okay? Although the UK enforcement personalities say he hasn't done anything illegal, he didn't do anything illegal by, hey, bribing people to have relations with with folks and filming it and then holding it over you as blackmail. That's not doing anything illegal, okay? So we can't really say that's what he did. Okay, so that's what the UK's, that's their position. So that means he's a great guy. Everyone keep listening to his show. And of course, what you're going to find is fewer and fewer legitimate individuals are going to go on these shows. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, because the tide might slowly be turning. Back to what I said earlier. People are beginning to feel the negative influence of all of these features in our society. And people, I think, I hope, because you need to do this in order to thrive and continue to grow. There is a time when you need to put all of that aside. You, at some point, in order to move forward in your own lives, you have to start moving forward and put aside all of the fears that are being thrown at you, right? At some point, you need to go out and go to the grocery store. And you cannot sit and think, oh my gosh, but there's crime and people are robbing stores. At some point, you still need to get up and get outside and go to the grocery store. So you're going to realize pretty quickly that you're not living in that chaotic, crazy, dystopian society that they are trying to make you think you're in. And that is where the truth will begin to come out. But I just wanted to feature that we haven't forgotten about these people. We have not forgotten about these people. And keep your eyes peeled, and I'm not going to dwell on them because, right, why would I? They're not worth dwelling on. But I want to point out the fact that these folks, they are out there and we have not forgotten about them. So keep in mind the next thing to put on your calendar. Remember this, coming up in January, the court case, Harry against the media, will crank right back up. We do not know what they're going to approach, and we do not know what they're going to try to prove. We're not sure where this is going to go. But the point is, Harry is going to keep the heat turned up. All right. And again, this is the Harry that they are dealing with today. They do not realize that the Harry they are dealing with today is this Harry. They are dealing with the I'm going to protect my family at all costs. I am a soldier at all costs. And that I have a mission to seek out and destroy. Remember that, because that is what the military teaches. And again, I'm prior military. I understand the mentality. Okay? And that is who they're dealing with. And if they were smart, what they would do is feature themselves, just like they featured themselves in that wonderful podcast of Prince William and Prince Kate sitting on the sofa with Princess Anne talking about rugby, and it was absolutely fascinating. Yeah, right. Okay. So, what they should do is keep doing that, and they should stop talking about anybody else. They shouldn't bring up anyone else. They should just move forward on the things that they do. But hey, don't give them a hint. Let them continue to make a mess, okay? And then we'll all just watch the fallout. Okay, enough of that. Now let's take it down a peg. Let's take a breath. Okay, everybody be at peace. Okay, now that we're back, center ourselves, be at peace, and let's think back let's think back on the positive side. Because I want you all to know Harry and Meghan were killing it at Invictus. They were absolutely killing it. And I am so proud of everything they were doing there. And you ought to be as well. So I'm proud of the work that they were doing. And I do hope that they continue to participate in the causes that they enjoy participating in, and that they bring a light and they bring positivity to the things that they are working with. I just think it's wonderful. And I would like to hear more about things like Well Child and Sentabali. I would love to know what they are doing, offline, like at some of the things that they might be doing even during the rest of the year before he gives the awards. So I'm going to start paying attention to that, because the positive things that they do are actually very, very interesting. So here's what I want to leave you all with. And I'm going to leave you with this because coming up next month, we're coming up to October. And here in our area, October is the month of Halloween. Halloween in our area is something that is a very popular time period. So when I was a kid, for those of you who know what Halloween is, when I was a kid, Halloween meant that we were going to have a day, it was usually on a Friday or Saturday, that we were going to get to go trick or treating, right? Now, trick or treating, for those of you who participate in this, kids would dress up in a costume, get in costume, you go out, you run around the neighborhood, knock on doors, or you walk up to the doors, and people will give you candy. You put it in your bag, and by the end of the night, you had a bag filled with candy and treats, and you went home and you ate candy for about 2 weeks. That was Halloween / trick or treat. Now, the interesting thing about this tradition, which is extremely popular here at home, is many people are not really adept, and what I call, they're not very studied at the origin, or even, and I don't want to say the exact origins, but at the proposed origins of some of these traditions. And I promise you guys, I'm not going to get up on a soapbox, but I like to approach things from kind of a fun way to study things, or a fun way to think about things. So, of course, most people are aware that Halloween, the getting and gathering of candy, is a tradition that was somewhat pagan in nature. Pagan meaning it was practiced by regions that were considered non-Christian, non-Catholic, non-Christian, non-Muslim, non-Jewish. The individuals who did not subscribe to the worship of a singular universal God, right? Okay. So, and that's another study. You gotta back up into the study of actual Christianity, Judaism, and Islam in order to understand the actual origin of those three religions, right? And how they can come together, where they meet. So without those three and the majors, then you're talking about pagans. the pagans, the features of the gods of water, the gods of thunder, the gods of different weather aspects, the gods of rocks, and so forth, on and on and on. So anyway, that is one of the main origins of Halloween, and I think a lot of people are pretty much aware of that. So one of the wonderful features, one of the more interesting features in Halloween aspect is things. What makes something really interesting is the term witchcraft. Okay. Now, why am I bringing this up? Okay. And I need you all to kind of stay with me here. Stay with me. Okay. Witchcraft. This terminology, witchcraft, what it applies to, what was its concept, what was its origin, how was it used, that terminology. And what I'm going to do, this is me getting to lead up. I'm going to lead you all into this. I want to talk more about this, but I'm going to do it in October. So on my weeklies, I'm going to try to organize and actually present some concepts of this topic. But the reason that I'm bringing it up, this terminology, witchcraft, I'm going to talk about it from that point of view. Now, oops, I'm sorry, I'm dropping things. Bear with me, people. So, the reason that I'm going to do this is I want you all to prepare yourselves. For those of you who are studiers of the Bible and very devout in your faith, I want you to review biblically where you remember seeing this concept discussed, talked about, or reported biblically, the concept of witchcraft. And then what I plan to do in October is to perhaps draw you a few diagrams of what you might be seeing in operation in our world today. Now, I know, don't panic. Don't panic. I'm not going to come at this like some sort of a um, raging lunatic. I promise you, this is not a conversation that requires medication. Okay. But I want to draw some, what I call my own thoughts of things that seem to connect to me, right? And I'm going to leave you with a particular thought today, and then we're going to get more into it in October because, like I said, I promised you I was not going to keep you very long. So I want you to understand that here's the definition of magic that I'm working with. Now, what's going to be going on is the fact that magic, witchcraft, things of these terminologies, right? And who and what are they linked to? And that people have a desire to control and have power and to coerce people to do certain things, right? We're going to talk about that again in October because it'll lead up to Halloween. And there is there are several, of course, topics where this is discussed biblically. So I'm going to give you guys some homework. I want you to head into the Bible if you all are Bible readers, okay? If that is something that is of interest to you. I want you to head into the Bible and I want you to dig out a couple of aspects, a couple of times when witchcraft is talked about and why. And then I want you to do some homework secularly, right? And look at in our current world, right? Where the term and the practice is talked about today. And then what I would like to do is to try and see if we can find some characteristics, some behaviors that may be operational, and you might wonder, well, why is that going on? Now, here's something I'm gonna throw out there, and then I'm gonna do what comedians do. I'm gonna throw this out here, and then I'm gonna drop the mic, or well, sort of, right? Sort of drop the mic. There is a practice, and I'm not sure if any of you that are aware of it, but there is a practice that is called mimicking. And I don't know if many of you are aware that there is this practice, and this is why I did all that background yammering just now, is that there is a practice called mimicking. And what it does, it's supposed to produce an effect where you can control something by imitating it. Okay? Now, we're going to get into that a little bit more in detail, perhaps in October, because I'm going to be talking about things that are all in and around Halloween. Now, for those of you who are paying very close attention to things happening, Harry and Meghan, there is a concept here that I'm going to talk about and get into because it'll be fun. I promise you to talk about it. But that there is a law in this practice. There is a law in the practice in this particular environment, and the law is of similarity, right? There is a feature wherein by becoming something, like if you have a target, there's a target, and if I've tried to become that target, that I then basically am consuming it, thereby I can control it. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. This is my drop the mic moment. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, and we're going to talk more about that in October. But remember, you need to do a little bit of background because it'll be more interesting if you have a little bit more background to follow up with what I'm to follow up in the way that I'm speaking about it. And I think you will be entertained as we go into that. So, once again, I'm about to wrap it up, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for participating. Please, please leave some comments. I may not have time to get to the comments right away, but I'll get to them as soon as I can, and I will definitely answer you back if I can. Leave suggestions about things that you would like to hear about or any topics that you would like to talk about. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. And please keep up all of your fitness products. And again, I come at all of this as a mother of adult children. And if you notice, Miss Doria is definitely someone that I pay attention to in small ways. I am just enamored by the fact that she is going to continue to move forward in her life, and the fact that it seems to stay very well grounded as all of these nutty, crazy things are happening. So let me look at a couple of the comments here real quick. Let me see if I see anything in here that we're going to talk about. Oh, I noticed that LL says, let's see what we got. If I got anything here, I had a comment that I wanted to look at. Yes, that this person was talking about things that were going to lie about other people's success. And yes, that is definitely a feature of some of these reporters and these toxic personalities. And we're going to keep our eyes and ears open for paying attention to what these folks are doing. Now, KD, thank you, KD. She actually mentions, for you to claim spiritual warfare is hilarious. Honor thy father. Now, I'm not sure, KD, where you're trying to go with your comment, but honor thy father is one commandment. And we need to remember that there are 10. Okay? You have to recall there are 10 commandments. There is also a commandment saying, do not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Correct? There is there are other, see, you got to be careful when we want, again, that's why I say you got to be careful if you want to go biblical. There's a lot, we're going to do that, right? It's fun. But you got to be aware that our religion is an all-encompassing one, right? It's all-encompassing. It's big. But I am glad that you joined in and made that thought, because it's important that you do that. So thank you, Miss Norma Campbell, for all of your support and thumbs up. We're going to continue to stay on the right path, and we're going to continue to support Harry and Meghan, because that's the thing that seems to make sense, at least at this time, if you are a positive person. Am I right? I think I am. But we will see. But I want to say again, thanks to all of you for coming and joining us. We appreciate it, and you are welcome to return. But next month, we're going to have some fun talking about all things leading up to Halloween.